Unreal Engine. For decades, those two words have represented possibility, the raw potential of what video games could be. From its origins in the late 90s to its dominance across entire console generations, Unreal Engine has been the invisible scaffolding holding up some of the most iconic games ever made. It's not just a set of tools, it's the foundation that has shaped the way developers design, the way publishers invest, and the way players experience their favorite titles. And some of the biggest games in the world were made with it. But today, something's changed. What was once seen as the best friend of the gaming industry and players alike, with its ease-of-use development tools and everyone else thinking that the graphics just looked insane, Unreal Engine now has taken on a different type of image. Unreal Engine 5, the latest version of Epic's crown jewel, is killing gaming. Not with one dramatic collapse or one itsy-bitsy mistake. Oh no. Slowly, release after release, it is just stabbing the industry in the back, as game after game that launches with it is buckling under the weight of promises the technology can't deliver. Now, to understand how we got here, you gotta know where it all began. Back in 1998, Epic Games was just another ambitious developer in a market dominated by giants like id Software. Doom and Quake had already revolutionized first-person shooters, and id's proprietary engines were as famous as the games themselves. Epic wanted to make something that could stand shoulder to shoulder with that legacy. The result was Unreal, a first-person shooter that stunned audiences with its graphics, level design, and atmospheric world. It was such a step ahead at the time. Players who booted it up for the first time weren't just impressed, they were simply floored. The detail, the lighting, the sheer scale of all the environments made it clear that Epic had built something really special here. But Unreal's real innovation wasn't the game itself. It was the engine underneath that was powering that car. From the start, Epic made Unreal Engine available for licensing. Now, this wasn't just about making great games. It was about creating a platform for other developers to use, which was genius, and no other engines were really doing this at the time. That decision alone is why Unreal didn't fade into obscurity like so many other shooters of its era. By sharing their technology, Epic positioned itself as more than a developer. They became infrastructure. And soon, Unreal Engine was everywhere. Unreal Engine 2 expanded its reach in the early 2000s. Games like Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell and Deus Ex Invisible War pushed immersive storytelling and graphical fidelity in ways that stood out at the time. But Unreal Engine 2, while impressive, wasn't even the big part. We gotta move to Unreal Engine 3. This is the engine that truly cemented Epic's dominance. If you played games during the Xbox 360 or PS3 era, chances are you were playing a game made with Unreal Engine 3. Bioshock, Gears of War, Mass Effect, Batman Arkham Asylum, all these weren't just successful games, they were cultural moments, and they all ran on Unreal Engine 3. The success of UE3 created a cycle. Developers flocked to the engine because it saved time and money. Publishers encouraged it because it was reliable, and players benefited from the steady stream of polished titles that were coming out because of it. Unreal became the default choice. Now, competing engines did exist, like id Tech, CryEngine, and Source. While they're all great, none could match Unreal's balance of accessibility, power, and licensing support. Then came Unreal Engine 4 in 2014, and this is when we started seeing some cracks. Now, Epic made a bold change in strategy. Anyone could download and use the engine for free, with Epic only taking a small cut of profits from commercial projects. Suddenly, the gates were wide open. Indie developers, students, hobbyists, anyone with an idea could build using the same tools that AAA studios were using. And for years, this was a triumph. UE4 gave us games like Street Fighter V, Dragon Quest XI, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and even Fortnite. The game that transformed Epic into a billion-dollar juggernaut that it is today, and Apple's biggest enemy. And at first, Unreal Engine 4 did have its quirks, like a lot of unoptimized titles coming out, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor just came out on Unreal Engine 4, and that game ran it was a nightmare. So yeah, it had its quirks, but for most players and most releases, Unreal was still invisible. Most gamers really didn't care what engine a game ran on. In fact, if it ran on Unreal Engine 4, a lot of people were like, yeah, this game's gonna look great. And hey, no one really cared as long as it played well. For a long time, that was exactly the case. until Unreal Engine 5. This new iteration promised something way more, something never done before, one of the biggest tech leaps in the gaming industry to date. When Epic unveiled it in 2020, the tech demos looked like magic. Nanite promised film-quality assets without destroying performance. Lumen promised real-time global illumination that looked like pre-rendered CGI. Open-world streaming promised seamless exploration without loading screens. I think you see where I'm going with this. Epic was marketing this as the future of interactive entertainment, and to their credit, this technology is very impressive. There are assets with millions of polygons. We're talking about real-time environments in games that are basically made with movie assets. And to showcase these new boundary-breaking improvements, they launched a demo called The Matrix Awakens on PlayStation 5, and this demo wowed everybody, including myself. Cities rendered with photorealistic detail, reflections bouncing off glass towers, Keanu Reeves, in textures so sharp you could mistake them for reality. Journalists hailed it as the next frontier. Developers saw tools that could cut costs by letting them import movie-grade assets directly into their games with no extra work. Gamers dreamed of playing worlds that looked like Hollywood films. On paper, it was everything we had ever wanted. But here's the problem. Unreal Engine 5 wasn't built with gaming at the center of its vision. It was built with film-quality visuals as the priority. Starting off with Immortals of Aveum. Now, this launched in 2023 as one of the first major UE5 titles. It was marketed as a showcase of what the new engine could do, with flashy particle effects, massive environments, and cutting-edge lighting. It's beautiful. But when players got their hands on it to actually play the game, the story wasn't the visuals, it was the performance. Even on high-end PCs, $1,000 RTX 4090s, the game struggled. Frame drops, stuttering, inconsistent resolution. It was a mess. The same happened on consoles, where you'd expect a pretty seamless experience. No, performance modes still couldn't maintain smooth frame rates here either. UE5 games were shipping without proper optimization, demanding hardware that most players simply didn't have. And it wasn't an isolated case. Here's the second game, Layers of Fear, remade in UE5, and it suffered similar problems. Gorgeous on the surface, but plagued with hitches and inconsistent performance as soon as you start playing. Another game, Lords of the Fallen, launched with ambitious visuals but faced widespread reports of crashes and poor optimization. And now in 2024 and 2025, and honestly beyond, we're seeing the same story repeat. Sword of the Sea, Silent Hill 2 Remake, even smaller titles. They look fantastic in trailers, but when players finally sit down to play them, they hit a wall of technical problems. Then a huge new release gets announced. Everyone's so hyped up. Borderlands. I mean, we haven't had a Borderlands game in years. Borderlands 4 is promised to be this huge open-world looter shooter that we've never seen before, back to its roots Borderlands. Heck yeah. Well, it struggled. When players got early access and saw beta footage, already it started showing its performance issues. If you look up Switch 2 gameplay of this thing at the preview events, it was struggling to maintain a steady frame rate. Kinda looks a little off for a console that costs around 800 Canadian dollars. And when the game came out on Steam, we're looking at a mixed rating. And if you couldn't guess by now, that's because of performance issues, obviously. This highlights that even experienced studios struggle with the engine's demands. The core issue comes down to this. Unreal Engine 5 prioritizes visuals designed for static renders in movies, where it doesn't need real-time performance to rely on, things functioning properly. For players, this feels like a betrayal. So, if there's so many issues, why are so many developers still choosing it? Well, the answer is partly economics and partly culture. Epic has made Unreal Engine 5 free to use with generous licensing terms. It's easy to pick up, well documented, and comes with pre-built tools that speed up development by a long shot. But the industry's over-reliance on Unreal Engine 5 is dangerous. When too many studios lean on the same technology without fully understanding its limitations, we end up with an entire generation of games that share the same problems. Poor optimization, excessive system requirements, and a sameness in how worlds look and feel. And this isn't just a PC problem. Consoles are struggling too. Developers promise performance modes and fidelity modes, but both often come with major compromise, unstable frame rates, blurry upscaling, or stripped-down visuals that betray the original vision. The truth is, Unreal Engine 5 isn't killing gaming because it's bad technology. It's killing gaming because it's being misused. Developers are chasing the promise of cinematic graphics without investing the time or resources to optimize for the interactive medium. And players are caught in the middle, paying premium prices for games that feel unfinished. So, what's the solution? Well, it starts with awareness. Gamers rise up, PC mustard rice, and not even PC mustard rice, I'm talking the whole console, everyone, consoles and PCs, we gotta gang together. We gotta demand better. We can't keep excusing broken launches just because the screenshots look good. We gotta call out publishers who ship unoptimized messes and hold them accountable. And other engines like Unity, despite its recent controversies, are still viable for certain projects. Proprietary engines like Capcom's RE Engine or Kojima Productions' Decima have proven that they could deliver both visuals and performance. It's possible today. The problem isn't that Unreal solely exists. Unreal's become the only choice for too many developers. And if everything runs on the same engine, it's called a monopoly. And monopolies are not good. I'm not talking about the board game. And right now, Unreal Engine 5 is pulling the industry toward a dangerous monoculture. If we want gaming to survive this, we gotta speak up. Because Unreal Engine 5 may look like the future, but unless something changes, people are still gonna start leaving bad reviews or prioritize not buying games that use Unreal Engine 5. Because the future of gaming shouldn't be measured in teraflops or texture detail. It should be measured in the experiences we can actually play. Unreal Engine 5 isn't delivering that. And until it does, we need to stop pretending that cinematic trailers equal progress. This is the story of how Unreal Engine rose, conquered, and now risks suffocating the very industry it built. And unless we change course, the engine that once defined gaming might just be the one that kills it.